The LA Kings find a way in San Jose and close out their road trip with a roller coaster win. We've got the good, the bad, and the ugly on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the past 30 years. Also one of the co-hosts of Locked On NHL Game Night, a nightly NHL podcast and YouTube show that recaps a night in the NHL. And I'm a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. The LA Kings played game number 11 of the NHL season as they concluded a 5-game road trip in San Jose against the Sharks. Kings are coming off a 3-1 win in Chicago, their first regulation win of the season. LA in this game against San Jose got off to a good start, grabbed a 1-0 lead. Second period, though, things started to tilt towards San Jose, but the Kings were opportunistic. They scored 2 more goals for what seemed to be a comfortable 3-0 lead. However, the Sharks were clearly outskating the Kings in that second period and eventually would score 2 quick goals to make it a 3-2 game going into the third. San Jose would then get the next goal to tie it at 3-3 before Kings defenseman Clarke scored the final goal of the game. LA did have some anxious moments in the final minute, but held on for a 4-3 win to wrap up the 5-game road trip with a victory and go 4-0-1 on that road trip. 5-3-3 now, the record on the season for the LA Kings for 13 points. All right, the big takeaway from this game for me is that this LA Kings team is not going to make it easy for us all year long. They are just not going to go out there and kick some other team's ass and win by 4 goals. They just aren't. And I don't know if it's style of play. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know what it is. I'm just saying, buckle up and be ready for a roller coaster ride all season long. I mean, just look at this road trip. 2-1 in overtime, 3-2 in overtime, 5-4 in a shootout, 3-1, and now 4-3. Now, that said, ultimately, what I care about is the scoreboard and the standings and the results, and those were favorable in those last games, but for the most part. But I just think we all need to maybe come terms with this, and I'm talking to myself as well. I'm not a big roller coaster fan. My wife loves the roller coasters. They make me sick. But some people love it. Not me so much, but if riding the roller coaster means the team goes 4-0-1 and gets 9 out of a possible 10 points, then maybe I'm just going to have to take my motion sickness pills and buckle up and get ready to go for the ride, because it's been a ride so far. It has, and I don't know that it's going to change significantly going forward. Doesn't mean the Kings can't be a good team. It doesn't mean they can't be a playoff team. But right now, it is eventful. It is definitely eventful. Checking out the game stats for the Kings in this one. Speaking of eventful, again, Kings win 4-3. That's the good news. The Kings were outshot 40-14. That's 4-0 for those of you not looking at the graphic on the YouTube show. Power plays. Kings were 0-1 and San Jose was 0-5. Of course, that's good news and bad news. Face-offs, the Kings were better than the Sharks, 52.3% to 47.7%, but that was the way that went through the game, which I'll explain later, was very odd as well. Hits, San Jose led 17-14, block shots, the Kings lead 23-12. I did want to get into the lineup for the Kings a little bit here, and we'll talk more about this later. But as expected, Warren Foegele did not play in this game for the Kings. We were wondering, how would the lineup be? Would the Kings stick with the 12 forwards and the 6 defense? Would they go 11-7 like we saw at some points in time last year? They stuck with the 12-6. Joel Armia, as expected, moved from the fourth line to the third line, taking Warren Fogel's place, and Jeff Malott drew back into the lineup on the fourth line, taking Joel Armia's place. Other than that, everything was pretty much the same, with Darcy Kuemper returning in net in this one. So the Kings are up 3-0 in the second period of this game against the Sharks. And I will admit, and maybe I'm an idiot for thinking this, but I thought the way we play defense and with our goaltending, that should mean this game is over. And that's, not even accounting for the Kings potentially adding to the lead. But that didn't happen. And I don't believe that this was one of those games where the Kings took their foot off the gas. The Sharks, I have to give them credit. They're a young team that when they get going, they are hard to defend. They're still not a very good team, but they are a team that has a lot of individual young talent that can give you some problems, again, when they can get it going. Kind of like Chicago, but the Kings were able to, dictate the pace to Chicago for the second and third periods and were able to get that win. They couldn't do that for the most part in the second period, especially, and in parts of the third period as well. And the Sharks were getting shots after shot after shot. And we mentioned they had 40 in the game, and the crowd in San Jose was oohing and eyeing when they get shots. And honestly, a lot of them were not dangerous shots, but they kept the puck in the Kings' end over and over and over. And eventually that wears you down. You expend a lot of energy playing defense. And if you get enough shots, eventually something good's going to happen. And it did. So I know we all have a little bit of PTSD from the playoffs last season, and understandably so, with the Kings not being able to close out leads and win games. But that really hasn't been the case so far this year. I know I see some comments on social media, same old Kings or whatever. The Kings had a 3-1 lead against Vegas, and they won that one 6-5 in a shootout. And they had a 2-0 lead in the first period against Pittsburgh and lost that one 4-2. Obviously, this was the game where you really point at it and say that was the Kings not doing a good job of holding a lead or extending a lead. But really, most of the games this season have seen the Kings actually come back in games when they were down, or, never have more than a goal lead or a 2-goal lead. This was really the first time they had that 3-goal lead and they end up blowing it, but they get the win in the end. But I don't think, and I understand it. I understand the feeling of seeing a team coming back and you go back to Edmonton, but that really hasn't been the case so far this season. I do want to check the defensive minutes played because this has been kind of a storyline all season. Brian Dumoulin led the Kings as far as ice time amongst defensemen, 21 minutes, 44 seconds. Mikey Anderson was second, 20 minutes, 52 seconds. Drew Doughty was third, 20 minutes, 37 seconds. Cody Ceci was fourth with 20 minutes and 25 seconds. These are all really close. Joel Edmondson, 20 minutes and 4 seconds. And then there's Brandt Clarke, 13 minutes and 22 seconds. However, I will point out again, like I did in the last game against Chicago, when the Kings are killing 5 penalties and Brandt Clarke doesn't play on the penalty kill, then that's going to be part of the story of why he's getting so many fewer minutes. Now, theoretically, if the Kings ever got 5 power plays, then that would be 5 extra minutes in theory for Brandt Clarke. But that's not happening right now. Otherwise, I will say the other 5 defensemen all being within less than 2 minutes of each other. I like that. I like that balance. I like seeing everybody getting around 20 minutes. I think that's healthy. But Brandt Clarke still needs to get more minutes. He just does. And he played great in this game. He's a playmaker. He makes things happen. He needs to get more minutes. I did want to break down the penalties because this will continue to be a story for the Kings until it's not. And we'll talk more about it in our next segment. But the Kings took 5 penalties in this one, 2 in the first period, a Jeff Malott slash that was in the offensive zone, and a Brandt Clarke high stick that was very preventable. Both those penalties were. The Kings didn't take any penalties in the second period. Third period, Jeff Malott takes another penalty, this time holding in the offensive zone. Drew Doughty took a slash and then Joel Edmondson in the final moments, a delay of game. I give him a little bit of a pass because he was trying to clear it, and one of the Sharks players hit him on the stick as he was clearing it. But of course, he didn't hit the puck, and so the last thing that the puck went off of was Edmondson's stick, and it went into the seat. So it is the right call, but I'll give him a little bit of a pass on that one. But again, at least 4 of these were very preventable penalties for the LA Kings. So I think it's gotten to the point now where you're going to have to start benching players for taking penalties. And, I have no doubt that Jim Hiller, and I have no doubt that some of the veteran players on this team are telling guys, we've got to be better about taking penalties. We have to be better. But at some point, the talk is not doing, if the talk is not getting the job done, then you have to go to what the next step is. And we'll talk more about that coming up. Special teams, as I mentioned, the good news, bad news. The bad news is you're shorthanded 5 times. The good news is you did kill off all 5 of them. And on the score sheet anyway, the Kings are 10 for 10 over their last 2 games on the penalty kill. Now, there was one goal that was scored. It wasn't officially shorthanded, but it was right after the penalty expired. So it was realistically a power play goal against. But the Kings continue to not get power play opportunities. I will say the one that they had, I thought they moved the puck well. I still like the 5 forward setup. It's just that they're not getting the opportunities. They're not drawing the penalties. I don't have an issue with the alignment and as far as who they're putting out there. They just need to get more opportunities, and it's not happening right now. And finally, the faceoffs. The Kings were dominant in the faceoff circle in the first period. And then after that, they went from great to okay to bad. And I don't understand why that would be the case. After the first period, the Kings were 77% in the faceoff circle. They won 10 of 13 faceoffs. The second period, they were 47%. They won 7 of 15. And then in the third period, they were 38%. They won 6 of 16. That's really weird. I don't know why it would start off great and get worse as the game went along, but another thing the Kings need to clean up. All right, Darcy Kuemper is on his game. Brandt Clarke is a playmaker. And one LA King player in specific needs to get benched. We're going to talk about that next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Hockey season is officially here. Nothing beats getting out to the arena for a game, but let's get real. Getting tickets can sometimes be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before you check out, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Gametime comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I love that what you see is what you pay for. There's no hidden fees at checkout, and I can see exactly my view before I buy the tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, and Gametime picks the seats, and you save big. You can even find NHL tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right, let's get into some of the individual performances for the Kings in their 4-3 win over the San Jose Sharks. And we will start with the goaltender, Darcy Kuemper, who was under siege at times in this game, but he handled it about as well as you can handle it. He had some big saves, some game-saving types of saves, held the fort when the Sharks were really smelling blood in the water, if you will. And when you look at the goals he allowed, none of them were on him, in my opinion. The first goal, a player is left wide open at the back door for a tap-in goal, and that's bad defensive coverage. Zero blame on Kuemper on that one. Second goal, once again, player left all alone at the back post, tap-in goal. Now, to be fair, both of the primary assists on those 2 back easy tap-in goals at the back post were terrific passes, but that doesn't matter. You cannot leave a player all alone unguarded at the back post for a tap-in goal, period. Now, after going back and watching the replay a couple of times on the Sharks' second goal, they had 4 players in the Kings' offensive zone, and they scored a goal. The 5th Sharks player, for some reason, was hanging out just outside the neutral zone around the blue line. And so, essentially, the Kings had 5 players in their own zone. to defend 4 Sharks, and they still left someone wide open on the back post. Alex Ferrier, Quentin Byfield, Kevin Fiala were all above the face-off dots. Someone, maybe more than one person, blew it big time on that one, as both defensemen were occupied with opposing players. And that's bad. And that's not on Darcy Kuemper at all. The third goal, officially not a power play goal, but realistically it was. It was just after the penalty expired. The goal, was scored as the 5th Kings player was not in the play at all. It wasn't a back post tap in, but it was a cross ice pass to the right face-off dot for a player on the backside of the play to score. So again, Darcy Kuemper, no real chance on that one as well. That third goal, I give more credit to San Jose for good puck movement than I do the Kings for blown assignments. Regardless, Darcy Kuemper absolutely deserved that win. He made a lot of high-quality saves. As I said, he finished with 37 saves to improve to 3-2-2 on the season. Darcy Kuemper was on his game. Brandt Clarke, play that man. He gets the game-winning goal in a tied game, 3-3 in the third. And I'm asking, like, when it's 3-3 and the Kings have just blown a 3-0 lead and it's 3-3, I'm asking myself, okay, who's going to step up? Who's going to make a play? And it was Brandt Clarke. Takes a cross ice pass from Adrian Kempe, skates it into the Shark zone, rips a wrist shot into the top part of the net, game-winning goal. And after all those beat LA chants in San Jose, Brandt Clarke immediately was giving it back to the fans with his arms out, kind of raising his hands like, okay, let me hear you now. Let me hear you now. The kid has some sassiness to him, and I'm here for it. But if you can score like that and you can make plays, then I say have fun with it. But not only did he have the game-winning goal, also had a beautiful pass shot. Not sure which one it was. Could have been either. Could have been both. But he had a puck that he put on net or towards the net that Corey Perry tracked down and scored on. And Brandt Clarke is really good at this. If you've watched him for any length of time, he knows how to get the puck into a dangerous area at the right time. He's got the vision to see when his teammates are in a position to be dangerous, and Corey Perry was. He puts that shot on. Maybe it results in a deflection. Maybe it results in a rebound opportunity. Heck, maybe it goes in. But he has a real knack for that, and it really is a talent. Brandt Clarke needs more ice time. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, even if you looked at the even strength time, I talked about the penalty kill time. That does kind of skew things. But if you look at just the even strength time, he's still 6 out of the 6 defensemen with 13 minutes and 8 seconds. He's making impactful plays. Play that man. Find a way to get him on the ice. He's a difference maker. I don't know what more you need to see. Drew Doughty, he gets the third goal of the game for the Kings, his first of the season. Takes a nice pass from his D partner, Brian Dumoulin, skates it down into the left face-off dot, puts a shot on net with traffic in front. Corey Perry was there for a screen. Jeff Malott was also skating around in front, and it goes through. So for Drew, again, his first of the year, that is also career goal number 161, and that ties Rob Blake for the most goals by a defenseman in LA Kings history. And I'll just mention this again because I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying when I say Drew Doughty needs less minutes. It's not because he's not a good player. It's not because he's not an important player. He is still a good player. He is still an important player, but he's also 35 years old. He's coming off a serious ankle injury, and we have a really good young defenseman that needs more minutes. So to me, it's a win-win. You reduce the workload for Drew Doughty. Maybe you keep him fresher for the postseason, and you give more minutes to a player who needs more minutes. It just seems like a no-brainer to me. Corey Perry. I said in our last episode, I'm still waiting to see nasty Perry, but we have seen classic Perry. That guy that has a nose for the puck, and he scores his third goal of the season in this one, the first goal of the game for the Kings, and it's right where you would expect him to be. He's in the crease. I'm still not exactly sure if that Brandt Clarke shot pass went off the goalie, went off Corey Perry, and then was in the crease. Either way, Perry's there to make sure it goes across the goal line. Corey Perry is that guy that gets the greasy goals. Exactly who we thought he would be. Blue collar, hardworking, in front of the net. And I'll say it again, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I am over the Corey Perry stuff. I'm surprised to say it, to be honest with you, but I'm cheering for him. I'm not going to go out and buy a Corey Perry jersey, but I'm past it, and I'm okay. And he's been good for the Kings in his short amount of time so far. Jeff Malott, he scored the Kings' second goal of the game. It's a 2-on-1, skates it into the zone and fires a beautiful wrist shot in the top corner of the net. I'll be honest, I did not think he had that kind of shot in him. An absolute snipe. His second goal of the season, second of his career, but really his first goal, because that first career goal went off his butt and in. So this one was a real goal. And you could tell his excitement. He almost celebrated like it was his first goal, kind of his first real goal. That said, he missed an assignment on the Sharks' first goal. He left the San Jose player wide open at the back post. That was on him. He took a bad penalty in the first period. He took another bad penalty in the third period. That was the one that the Sharks scored on to tie it up. Not officially a power play goal, but realistically it was a power play goal. And I'm almost 100% sure after that penalty, he did not play another second of the game. And yes, he's on the fourth line. And yes, the fourth line doesn't get a lot of minutes necessarily in the third period anyway. But I did see Corey Perry and I saw Alex Turcotte out there multiple times. And Malott wasn't. So I believe he was benched for the rest of the game, and rightfully so. And I've got nothing against Jeff Malott or any Kings player. I want all these guys to do well. And I cheer for them and I hope they do well. But when you make multiple mistakes, you take bad penalties, you don't cover your position, then there needs to be consequences for that. So I'm glad he got benched in this game, and I would bench him for the next game. Assuming Warren Fogle isn't back, which I'm assuming he won't be, use Jeff Malott to send a message to the rest of the team. And frankly, Jeff Malott is the perfect player to do this to. He's not Adrian Kuemper, and I know he had a nice goal in this game, but you can send a message and also really not hurt your lineup by benching somebody like him. Put Sammy Helenius out there at center, move Alex Turcotte to the wing along with Corey Perry. That should be the Kings' fourth line in the next game. You're sending a message to the rest of the team. You've already talked about it. I'm sure they've emphasized it. And now it's time to do something else. Now it's time to take the next step. Bench Jeff Malott. It's an easy thing to do, and you're at least doing something. You're taking it to the next step. And if that doesn't work, maybe you start benching other guys, because at some point you have to do something to stop the Kings from taking all of these penalties. I mean, it's come to that point. It's that bad. You've got to start doing something else as a head coach. So I will see if it happens or not. I would absolutely bench Jeff Malott. And I know you're saying, well, is that really going to say it's the next thing to do, because you've already said, hey guys, we got to stop doing this. And they keep doing it and they keep doing it. So now it's time to do something else. We're going to have a Warren Fogle update and also an Adrian Kuemper update, sort of. We'll do that next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. All right, I did want to mention a few other things real quick as far as individual players. Adrian Kuemper, by his standards, had a pretty quiet night against San Jose. He had 1 assist, so he now has a team-leading 9 assists and a team-leading 14 points on the year. Pay that man. Andrei Kopitar, no points for the captain. He's still at 1,282 career points and still 26 points away from passing Marcel Dion to become the LA Kings all-time leading scorer. As far as some of the individual stats in this one, Brandt, Clarke, and Corey Perry had multiple point games, each with a goal and an assist. 4 players, Quentin Byfield, Kevin Fiala, Adrian Kuemper, Corey Perry, each had 2 shots on goal. They were all tied for the team lead. The entire Kings team had 14 shots on goal. Drew Doughty and Brian Dumoulin each had 4 blocked shots. Jeff Malott led the Kings with 4 hits. The on-ice leader as far as time, Brian Dumoulin, 21 minutes, 44 seconds, and Philip Deneau was the Kings' best faceoff man. He won 8 of 12 draws taken. We do have to give out our 3 crowns because the Kings won in this one. We don't do the 3 stars anymore. We give out the crowns. Wearing a crown for this game, without question, goalie Darcy Kuemper, as I mentioned, despite the 3 goals against, he played extremely well. 37 saves in net, and he's a huge reason why the Kings were able to win this game. Brandt Clarke gets a crown. for his goal, the game-winning goal in this one, and an assist as well. And Corey Perry also getting a crown for his goal and his assist in this one. So I mentioned it earlier when we talked about the lineup. Warren Foegele did not play in this game. He is out indefinitely with an upper body injury. Left the previous game in Chicago after taking what looked to be a pretty innocent hit in the boards, but I guess his arm went awkwardly into the glass. He left the ice holding his arm with some sort of hand or wrist or elbow injury. He has not been placed on injured reserve, although that doesn't mean that he won't be. We've seen that before. However, I am encouraged that we haven't had any kind of announcement that he's had hand surgery or wrist surgery or something like that. That would be obviously more serious. So my guess, Jim Hiller, by the way, told Zach Dooley, the Kings insider, when he was asked about Warren Foegele, he said he's going to, quote, miss some time, end quote. So my translation on that is he misses a week or two. And hopefully that's the case, and hopefully he'll be back sometime in November. If you haven't heard anything about Adrian Kuemper, there's a reason for that, I guess. Because there's nothing going on with Adrian Kempe's contract situation. It's been extremely quiet. Have not heard any kind of reports over the past couple of weeks. We did have that report from John Hoven at mayorsmanor.com, where he said he had heard that a contract had been agreed to in principle, and they were just hammering out some details. So maybe that's the case. I don't know. So there's no real update on Adrian Kuemper, but it is pretty clear it hasn't been a distraction for him because he's playing very good hockey so far this season. All right, so what's next for the Kings? They are back home for a handful of games. Thursday, Halloween Eve, they will host a very up-and-coming Detroit Red Wings team that is playing really well right now. On Saturday, they will host another really good team in the New Jersey Devils, who just had an 8-game winning streak snapped. I think the Devils are still leading the NHL in points right now. Then the next Tuesday, they will host the reigning President's Trophy winners, the Winnipeg Jets. And then 2 days after that, on Thursday, they're hosting the two-time defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. So Kings are back home, where they have not been very good yet this year, but they're back home. But the schedule is still really tough. I just wanted to check. The New Jersey Devils have 16 points, tied with Pittsburgh, Montreal, Utah, and Colorado, the most points in the NHL. Well, Pittsburgh, that is a surprise there, boy. Maybe that makes that loss to the Penguins not look quite so bad in hindsight. But good to have the Kings back home. Hopefully they can continue this play of late that we've seen. It's exciting hockey. It's up and down hockey. But it is winning hockey at the moment for the Kings. So that's what's important. Hopefully we'll see them translate that now that they get back on home ice. And but the schedule is not doing them any favors. The schedule is very, very difficult. All those teams that they're facing on this homestand are good teams, are quality teams. So they're going to have to bring it every night, no doubt about it. All right, for you everydayers, those of you that listen and watch Locked On LA Kings every day, coming up on our next show, we're going to discuss what we've seen from the Kings through 11 games. Also coming up on the weekend, we will have our fan feedback show on Friday. If you want to get in on that, the email address is lockedoneddie@gmail.com, EDDIE. You're always welcome to post your thoughts if you're watching on YouTube in the comments section. We like that. And we also like when you stay connected with the show on social media, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We are at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thank you for listening and watching Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time. And as always, go Kings, go.